So Apple just wrapped up their WWDC 22 event. I have no idea what those letters stand for, but I do know what Apple announced today. So let's take a look here very quickly at a Twitter thread where I went through and described everything that they announced. Not everything. Clearly, I'm going to miss some things. But these are the big things announced at WWDC 22. First thing that they announced were some creepy faces. Some weird, childlike, colored faces. I don't know what this is. That's the logo that they were using for this event. iOS 16 is here in a beta form. And interestingly, curiously to me, the lock screen is getting a ton of new features and customizations with iOS 16. You can see her in this bottom left-hand corner. See this lady here, right? See this lady. She's looking off happily. You notice how the clock, the time, is actually occluded a bit by her head. So Apple's using machine learning to cut her out and then to allow you to put the clock a bit behind her to kind of give this sense of depth, which is actually really pretty cool. And it's something that they showed off later on as well, where they actually took a photo, and rather than sending someone that photo, it was like a dog, and they like long pressed on and did some stuff. I wasn't really paying attention, but it cut the dog out. And then they just sent just the dog with no background, like it was its own little emoji or something. That is very, very cool. Something that I would like to see spread to other things. Pretty cool feature. There's a lot of stuff coming, though, with iOS 16. You can see a lot of the stuff on screen. Widgets are coming to the lock screen. You can see down there. There's what I was talking about. They're lifting the subject from the background. Pay later is interesting. So if you're using Apple Pay, you can apparently just universally do the thing where there's zero interest and you make 4 payments over, I think it's like 6 weeks or something like that, and it's just acceptable anywhere that takes Apple Pay. That is also pretty cool. Notifications at the bottom of the screen, just like they were in WebOS. WebOS still, as always, it's been gone for 10 plus years, still ahead of the game with a lot of these things. Multi-stop routing, so you can put multiple stops along your readable image. What that means, that's all pretty cool stuff. So there's a lot of stuff here for iOS 16. The dev beta is live now. If you want to try it, probably be a little bit buggy. Maybe wait for the public beta, which is coming probably in the next month or so. The final version probably live in September alongside the next iPhone. iOS 16 is also here, and we have an image here to show some of this stuff. Apparently, there was no weather app on the iPad. I didn't know this, but a lot of people were very excited. So excited the fact that they actually put it here. Weather app. Worth noting, apparently. Stage Manager is very cool. And in fact, we have a video here, a clip that The Verge made, showing off what this is. And basically, it is a way to have resizable, free-floating windows on the iPad. This is something that evidently has also not been a thing. I don't know a lot about Apple stuff, okay? So just bear with me here. This is kind of reminds me of Dex or something like that, right? So kind of a Dex mode on the iPad. Pretty cool to see that coming along. The iPad is extremely powerful. The hardware is so powerful. The software needs to be more desktop-like to allow people to get more things done. You can see here he's dragging a window around and moving things around. That seems pretty neat. Of course, they're also getting the ability to pull a picture out of a background, Game Center stuff. So they also talked about gaming on the iPad. So they basically have a thing called, I think it's called like Metal 3, the third version of it, where it's basically a set of APIs that should enable gaming on the iPad in a more robust way. So that is pretty cool. Collaboration in iMessage. Well, let's talk about iMessage for a second, because they're adding all kinds of things like the ability to edit messages sent or undo sent messages. That is pretty neat as well. Live captions and FaceTime coming to both. Reference mode is apparently here to augment the ability to use your iPad as a secondary display. So lots of good like getting work done stuff on the iPad, as well as some attention to gaming and just some fun stuff as well. WatchOS 9. You're getting an app for medication for reminders, which you can actually set these reminders and then share that info with other users so that they can kind of help you keep track of your medication. There's also a whole app, I believe, coming with this iOS beta about medications and ways that they interact with each other. I guess you like scan your pill bottle and it's like, got it, I know what you're taking, we can help you out here. That's pretty cool. AFib history, similar stuff here from that lock screen with the time behind the dog's head. That stuff's coming to custom watch faces. That is pretty cool. Just new watch faces in general. Heart rate zone. So this is interesting. So there's a difference between your heart rate just being up or down. There's like what they're calling a power mode, I think. So different kinds of heart rate zone stuff. They talked about sleep stages being tracked. Surely sleep stages were already on the Apple Watch. Maybe this is just an augmentation, an improvement of sleep stages, because that's been on every watch for quite some time now. Custom workouts, all kinds of good stuff. Dev beta now, public beta next month, full version coming with the next Apple Watch. What about with macOS Ventura? One very strange feature, the ability to share your tab groups in your web browser. Now, I get what they're talking about. They're like, hey, if you're working, you're collaborating, and you want the people you're working with to see what you're working on in your web browser. That applies to a very narrow subset of people. For most people, this sounds like a nightmare for people to be able to see what your tabs are. Very strange, but I get what they're doing here. Also, the ability to duct tape an iPhone to your laptop or your computer and use it as a webcam. For someone like me, I've been doing this for a long time with Android. Droid Cam is an application that we've had for many, many years. There's actually several apps to do this. It's what I use for my overhead camera. Anytime you're watching my video and you see me do this thing here, that is a phone that I'm using as a webcam on my computer. But hey, that's cool, right? That now Apple has this as well with their iPhone. Good for them. Same rules apply here for the beta. Dev now, public later, full at some other point. What about the Apple M2, the ARM processor to rule them all? We have a new one. It's 18% faster than the M1, which is now, getting slightly older. We have 2 new GPU cores to augment that performance, as well as a bump to 24 gigs of unified memory. Of course, on this thing, since it's an integrated system on a chip, CPU, GPU altogether, the RAM is unified. So they're both pulling from the same pool of RAM, rather than on my dumpy old x86 tower that has, VRAM and regular RAM. It's all just unified. It looks pretty good. They always show off these graphs about how with this much wattage being put into it, it's this fast. And I think efficiency is the big place that these processors really make their hay, because it's not like they're faster than the x86 chips. It's that they're just as fast with less power consumption, which is extraordinarily important. That does not mean poo-pooing these processors. They are extremely good for that exact reason. And they've got 20 billion transistors. I mean, come on, that's all you need to know right there, all the transistors. A new MacBook Air was announced with this new M2. It's got a gigantic notch in the middle of that 13.6-inch display. I don't know why they do this. I'm lying. Yes, I do. It's for brand recognition. You see someone with this device from any angle, and that is an iPad or a MacBook Air. It's not an iPad. It's a MacBook Air. That's why they do these things. Because, look, you can't tell me that they couldn't have fit this webcam. Make this bezel a little bit bigger. You could have fit your camera in. It's nonsense. This is for brand recognition, but look, it's why Apple is so incredibly profitable, because they do smart things like this. It's going to be coming at $1099 with the old M1 Mac Air at $999. 20 hours of battery life, Wi-Fi 6, 500 nits, peak brightness is pretty darn good. Retina display, M2. You see all the specifications here. It's a new MacBook Air. It's going to be great. People are going to love it. They are also shoving the new M2 into the old MacBook Pro and selling it for $1299. It's literally, from my understanding, the exact same thing, just with the new ARM processor strapped in there. So that's most of the big stuff. I'm sure I missed some things, but if you know things I missed, or if, whatever, there's something I said you thought, oh, that's my favorite, drop that in the comments down below. Let's have a conversation about it. Guys, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.